Fuller, the Executive Director Initiative, to formally welcome all of you here today.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, my name is Wiset Fuller, and I'm the IT Executive Director for Green Landscape Initiatives. So I would like to say a very big thank you to all of you who have taken up your time to be a part of this all-important workshop on the impact of financial inclusion on the household welfare in Liberia, a dissemination workshop held at the Single Palace Hotel. So let me take this time to recognize our participant from the Central Bank of Liberia, from the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Agriculture, and other government ministry and agencies here present. Want to recognize our civil society partners who we have also invited. We also want to recognize the presence of the UN family in our midst. Want to say you are most welcome. So, and also to our partners, the African Economic Research Custodian based in Kenya, who through Green Landscape Initiative have been able to partner with us to have this workshop held today. So on behalf of the Green Landscape Initiative, I would like to say you are most welcome to this all-important workshop. We are proud to announce that this workshop is being conducted with the African Economic Research Custodian from the Kenya who is here to disseminate a research work that have been done on financial inclusion through the use of mobile money services in Liberia, as well as the impact of the use of mobile money services based on socio-economic characteristics of the household, as well as the impact on food security. So on this note, I would like to say you are most welcome. Without you being here today, this meeting wouldn't have been successful. So we look up to you for your full participation. Thank you very much, and you are most welcome.
Thank you, Wesley. So by way of introduction, my name is James Telewoya, and I'll be your moderator for today. We're going to skip the background and objective of this workshop for a moment, and then have the official opening, and this will be done by the representative of the Ministry of Agriculture this time, so we've just changed that. Mr. Funnable will do that on behalf of the group. Thank you very much. You are welcome.
Okay, Lenza, we are now set.
Good morning, ladies and
Let
gentlemen.
us know how, whether you're ready.
Hope that all protocol was observed.
Confirmed now the sound was good.
I'll take this time on behalf of the organizer of this gathering to welcome you, and I want you to please feel free to discuss, participate fully in these undertakings. Again, I'd like to say you are most welcome.
Okay, thank you very much for the
And
official
Cecilia.
statement.
Yes, Lenza.
So at this
Yes,
time,
we are now ready, Diana.
Okay,
we are
thank you
going
very
to
much.
invite the Executive Director for AERC
Diana, welcome.
to give
The
the
team
background
in
and
Liberia is
objective
ready
of the,
for the AERC
workshop. Thank
opening
you very
remarks.
much.
They have just heard the opening remarks from their side, from the ministry.
All right, thank you very much, Cecilia, and thank you very much, Tim. It is a pleasure to be together with you in this meeting. Our apologies, we could not be together with you during this session because we have had our biannual event, and the day after tomorrow we shall be having the African Econometric Society conference that is being hosted by the Secretariat. So with that, we are not in a position to come because of the activities that we are running. However, we have sent our team there. I think you have interacted with them. We have Lance and Lawrence, and we are assured that we are being represented very well by their presence there. And on behalf of the Secretariat, I wish to thank each and every one of us for attending this meeting and even for availing yourselves. Thank you very much, even for the organizers. Now, just to introduce about AERC a little bit. First, this is a project on inclusive finance in African states. But I just wanted to mention about AERC for those of us who are not clear of what AERC is and what we do. Basically, we are a capacity building network that we do through research, graduate training in economics, and we are supported by the communication and policy outreach program. So when we are doing capacity building, if most of us have not gone through this, we normally do our graduate training, and this one we do to our PhD and master's program. We offer scholarships, and mostly the ladies and those who are from fragile and post-conflict states, we give priority. So if you are there and you want to do master's and PhD, kindly cross-check the next advert on our website. And actually, if you do pass and qualify well, I mean, as according to the criteria that is set, you can be assured of joining the program. On the capacity building, we also have, we do technical workshops, which we carry out. And this one come under the arm of research, whereby we have both thematic and collaborative research. Now, under the thematic research, this is where we train our early career researchers, and this one is on ongoing basis, whereby you can send a proposal anytime through our research management system. It is going to be evaluated. You are going to be told whether to revamp it or you proceed, you allocated a mentor. When we allocate the young researchers mentors, then they have the opportunity to come and present their proposal in what we call our biannual workshops. So for this program, for the early career research training, it can take between 1.5 years to 2 years, of course, depending on how fast you're going to implement the comments you're given and how you're going to move very well according to your mentor. So basically, this is one of the best programs whereby if you are just finished master's, PhD, you can go through, you will have, you'll be exposed to a network of good experts. Of course, we have 5 themes. Kindly check our website, spanning macroeconomic all the way to microeconomic research. So basically, you can look at the website, and I'm very sure each and every one of us can fit in any of the themes and write a paper. So we also have the collaborative arm, and for this one, it feeds the mid-level and senior level researchers. Here we do research on topical issues, and this they normally run from long to short-term projects. So we mix with across a number of experts. Of course, we also mentor the young researchers if we have a senior or mid-level researcher who would want to have a young researcher on board. That one we also accept. So this one also helps you even when it comes to skills of writing. We also have a project steering committee member that has experts on each of the topics that we work through, and they take you through the whole collaborative research up to the end. Once we finalize on our research and our papers, of course, we have a communication and policy outreach program. This is where all the dissemination is done. The research for the thematic, we normally publish our working reports, and for the collaborative, we encourage the papers to be published in top-notch journals, and they are disseminated in our websites. Other than that, we also have dissemination programs like what you are holding today, in-country dissemination, because we have country case studies. So at the end of the day, you will go to each and every country, disseminate the work to the key policymakers, the academia, and all the key stakeholders at that particular topic, and we are able to engage on that topic. And we are glad that we can see even some of the work being uptaken by the policymakers. So I would just mention, being over 30 years old, we have mentored over 4,200 economists, researchers from over 30 countries, 3,800 masters, and over 400 PhD grantees. And most of these are normally at the mid to senior level policymakers across the continent. That's something that we are very passionate about as the secretary. Now we come to the collaborative research project, which is what we are doing today. It is Inclusive Finance in Africa, which is a collaborative research project that is supported by IDRC. Thanks for their generous support. And the aim is to access to and usage of basic financial services in African states. Basically, we are looking at inclusive finance in the fragile and post-conflict states. And what we are looking at is whether we can increase the access and usage of basic financial services. Of course, after going through the research, we found that the access and usage has remained very low. And so we would want to research on this and find what are the solutions. We're very much aware that the reduction of income inequality through financial development and inclusion can lead to greater social and political stability, which in turn can contribute to greater financial system stability. So we are also aware that the finance plays a crucial role in poverty and conflict cycles. One of the things we know is that lack of access to financial services stifles entrepreneurial activities and thus may perpetuate or deepen poverty, leading to underdevelopment and stagnation, thereby increasing social and economic tensions. So we know if we do not have any access to the financial services, the entrepreneurial activities that we have may be reduced. Of course, if we don't have those activities, this might lead to, may deepen the poverty levels. And what we are looking at here is, if we are aware about this, what role can inclusive finance play so that we may even, increase the accessibility and of course encourage the entrepreneurial activities once they have the accessibility of finance. So that's something that we are very passionate to see coming out of this. So the goals of this project, what are the goals? To understand the financial sector development and inclusion in Africa. And number two, Africa's inclusive growth and realization of the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals depend on inclusive finance in the first stage. So we would want also to contribute to the realization of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals. So what do we expect at the end from this project? The expectations is to understand the role of financial inclusion in achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The other expectation is to inform policy on Africa's inclusive growth and realization of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals. The other expectation from this project, as well as this dissemination, is to strengthen cooperation and networking among policy stakeholders on inclusive finance, and of course to check which are the other further areas of research. So we're expecting, even in our engagement and as we do the presentation, that you will also be able to check out within this country and of course in Africa, what other areas of research, especially in this area of inclusive finance, we can focus on to. And so we would expect at the end of the day to get key policies which are tied to the work that we have done, that are going to inform the policymakers on how we can proceed forward. And with these few remarks, I wish to thank once again the team for organizing this workshop, and for you also for availing yourselves, and I would want to wish us a fruitful engagement in this workshop in the next couple of hours. Thank you very much. Back to you, Cecilia.
Thank you very much, Diana. Lenza, take over at the ground now. We really appreciate your patience as we were setting this up. And we wish you and wish us a very fruitful engagement. Bye-bye. We'll be logging off. We'll not continue with you. So we'll expect to learn from those who are attending later. Thank you.
So thank you very much. At this time, we want to proceed to the meat of this workshop, the presentations. So we're going to have two persons doing the presentation for us. The first person we want to call up is Francis Mulva, and then he will be followed by Billy Lepora. So Francis, if you are around. Looking back there.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. My name is Billy Para. I'm from Kenya, and I'll be presenting together with my colleague Francis Mulba on our research that is impact of financial inclusion on household welfare in Liberia, a gendered perspective. This work is under an umbrella project by the AERC-IDRC on inclusive finance in fragile and post-conflict countries in Africa. So we did this work as a group of 4. My friend Franz was the lead researcher. We have Vida Mante from Ghana, myself from Kenya, and our other colleague called Dennis from Kenya. So on to our introduction. Financial inclusion, which is simply defined as access to affordable financial services and products by everyone, has been linked to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly goal number 5 on gender equality, goal number 10 on reduced inequalities, access to clean water and sanitation, and affordable and clean energy. It's also linked with other welfare outcomes. But despite the implication or the importance of the benefits of financial inclusion, there are gaps in terms of access and utilization of formal finance products, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa and also in fragile and post-conflict countries. A report by the FSDA and MASICOPS has showed that financial inclusion in sub-Saharan Africa is at 66%. Individuals in sub-Saharan Africa do not have access to financial services. And the situation is even worse in fragile and post-conflict countries, where close to 90% of the populations do not have access to financial services. So, why are we focusing on fragile and post-conflict countries? The issue is that most of those countries have underdeveloped financial sectors and limited financial inclusion, where a lot of citizens in the population do not have access to financial services. Again, gender has been identified as in access to financial services and products. This is because research or scientific evidence shows that there's a gender gap in terms of access, and even when it comes to utilization, different genders utilize financial services differently. Again, in sub-Saharan Africa, financial inclusion varies across gender groups. For instance, only 25% of women in fragile and post-conflict countries have access to financial services. At the same time, 33% of men have access to financial services, meaning that there's actually a gender gap in terms of access to financial services. There are reasons that are pointed out for the low participation of women in financial inclusion. One of them is the high interest rates, limited financial education and awareness, lack of the necessary documentation required, and also the requirement for collateral, which again excludes a lot of women in accessing financial services. So like in many fragile and post-conflict countries, Liberia's infrastructure and institutional framework for accessing financial services were destroyed during the civil crisis. Then again, access to financial services in the country is very low. In terms of account ownership, only 36% of adults own bank accounts. Again, 4 out of the 15 counties do not have access to commercial banks, meaning that access to formal finance is actually a challenge in some of the counties. Then the physical access of commercial banks in Liberia is lower than the average in sub-Saharan Africa, and also when compared to other countries in the ECOWAS zone. So, several reasons have been highlighted for the low financial inclusion. Number one is limited access points in the rural areas, where people do not have adequate access to weak credit infrastructure, and all these reasons contribute to the low financial inclusion. But despite the challenges that I've mentioned, we can appreciate government has continuously made efforts to implementing two particular strategies. That is the 2009 to 2013 financial inclusion strategy and the 2014 to 2018 financial inclusion strategy. And both of these strategies have continuously pushed for the adoption of mobile money as a possible avenue for improving the financial inclusion situation. Currently, the financial inclusion strategy of Liberia for 2020 to 2024 is deeply rooted in digital finance. This is coming from the point of view that there is the evolution in terms of access to financial services, and digital financial services are the way to go to increase accessibility to financial services. Despite the gains made, evidence suggests that there is a persistence of gender gap in accessing financial services. This is according to statistics by the government of Liberia. If we deduce that further, we find that only 12% of Liberian women have a bank account compared to 21.3% of men, meaning that there is a gender disparity in terms of account ownership. Again, 24.4% of women use their mobile money for financial transactions, meaning that that could be a possible avenue to increasing financial inclusion through use of mobile money. Then 30% of men use their mobile phones for financial transactions, meaning that if finance can be accessed through mobile money, then we can leverage on that, where both men and women are continuously using mobile phones to undertake financial transactions. So our research focused on assessing the impacts of financial inclusion on household welfare in Liberia through a gendered perspective. And we were guided by several research questions. Number one, we sought to understand what is the adoption rate of mobile money services among male-headed households and female-headed households. What main uses of money received or transferred through mobile money? What factors influence male households and female-headed households to use mobile money services in Liberia? And lastly, what are the effects of mobile money services on welfare outcome? We considered 3 welfare outcomes. That is the household food security. We measure that using the food consumption score, the monthly adequacy of food, and their dietary diversity. And how do these impacts vary across gender? Because we realize that there is actually a gender gap when it comes to access financial services. So we relied on the Liberian Household Income and Expenditure Survey of 2016 to 2017, implemented by the Liberian Institute of Statistical and Geo-Information Services, because this was the current data set that we could find. And that data captures the seasonality of household consumption patterns and income within the last 12 months preceding the survey. And 8,350 men and women were interviewed. So our sample size was 8,350. And the data also collected information and indicators such as household demographic characteristics, employment, household expenditure, cash transfer, and overall welfare outcomes. We adopted impact models to measure the impact, and we also checked for robustness of the data using a different impact model to see whether the results are actually consistent across multiple impact models. So I'll ask my colleague Francis to do the next part on results and policy implications. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter, for that Susan presentation. So I will now take you guys through the results of this research. So our results is in twofold. For table 1, we present the socio-economic characteristics of the household. This aggregated by user and non-user of mobile money services, and also the gender of the household, because our study being focused on gender. Because as Bella said, there are gaps in the access of financial services by both male-headed and female-headed households.
So through all this result discussion, you will see that all our discussion will focus mainly on the general perspective in terms of accessing mobile money services. So from our descriptive result here, the results show that user of mobile money are more food secure than non-user of mobile money. As per our three outcome indicators here, the months of adequate household food provision and the dietary diversity score and the food consumption score were higher for user of mobile money compared to non-user. Also, we also try to look at the gender differences. So, in terms of comparison gender-wise, you see that the most of adequate household food provision and the food consumption score between both male-headed household and female-headed household are similar. But in terms of dietary diversity, it's different. So it means that female-headed household have more diverse diet as compared to male-headed household. So the impact of mobile money on food security, as indicated in the statistics here, is mainly because mobile money help to reduce transaction costs. And when there's a reduction in transaction costs, this translates to increase in disposable income. That extra money can be used to buy more food for the household, or can even be spent on issue of health and education. We not stop our analysis there. We came here to the household characteristics. So we want to know what are the differences in terms of use of mobile money, their various ages. So our results here indicate that users of mobile money are younger than non-users of mobile money. That speaks to the issue of age in terms of technology adoption. As you are aware, young people can easily adopt technology than older people. So you will see that more young guys will be going for these financial inclusion, these financial digital services than old people. Like now you have tipping, you have how you call it, wave. More young guys will go for it. In addition to that, we also have education. So people who are users of mobile money were more educated or have more years of education compared to non-user of mobile money. So people who are educated, they know the convenience, they know how mobile money can help to reduce transaction costs, so they can go for it, as compared to those who are not educated. So it means that even education have an influence on the adoption of mobile money. We came here also to location. So the result also indicate that households that reside in urban area are more likely to use mobile money compared to households in the rural area. Because you see that households in the urban area, most of them are educated, they are exposed, they are aware of new technologies. Also, we look at home production. The result also show that use of mobile money are mostly people who are involved into orphan activities, maybe into issue of petty trade, into issue of selling clothes and other things. But non-users are mostly involved in issue of home production, like farming activities. Go to the next slide. So the graphs here or the diagrams here trying to illustrate the uses of money sent or received through mobile money services. So the figures here indicate that most of the money sent or received through mobile money services is used for what? Consumption purposes. Yes, that is for both male-headed household and female-headed household. But as you go deeper, you can see a clear general pattern here on the usage of mobile money for both female-headed household and male-headed household. You'll see that most of the female-headed household spend a large proportion of the money received through mobile money on consumption. Most female-headed household. As well as for the male-headed household, most of the money they send through mobile money is for issue of consumption education, and health. So they show a clear general pattern in terms of the uses of mobile money for both male-headed household and female-headed household. So next slide. Okay, these are the correlates of mobile money. So these are factors that influence the use of mobile money. What do we mean? That is, what can make a household adopt mobile money? What can influence a female to say, oh, I'm going to open mobile money account today? What can influence a male? So, contrary to our expectation, our results here indicate that male-headed households are less likely to use mobile money services compared to female-headed households. Yes, this was really contrary to our expectation. But this can explain that male-headed households would prefer using formal financial services like bank account. Because these male-headed households, they have access to these formal financial services. They are working, people who are educated. But as compared to a female-headed household, they still face a lot of barriers in accessing formal financial services. Yes, these households have limited level of education, so they prefer to go with the option that has less barriers. So for issue of mobile money, the issue of documentation requirement is less as compared to using or opening a bank account. So female-headed household would prefer to use mobile money services in a formal banking institution. We also have off-farm production. As illustrated in the graph I just showed you, most of the money received through mobile money is used for consumption purposes. So, our correlates or our factors here is saying that households that are involved with own production, that is agricultural activities, they are less likely to use mobile money compared to households that are involved with off-farm activities. What is the reason for that? Households that are involved with issue of own production, these households have less expenditure on food consumption. It means that their expenditure share on food is less than those who are involved with off-farm activities. Like for example, if you all live within the same household, you have someone who is fully working and I'm a farmer, you observe that for you, you will only be able to access food when you take pay rent, go to the market, you buy food. But for me, I got a garden, I got a farm. I'm going to harvest and be able to use that for consumption. Although I will still go in the market, but my expenditure in the market will be less as compared to you. That's what is trying to illustrate here. Also, it's also saying that issue of education, as I discussed in the descriptive, households with more years of education are more likely to adopt mobile money compared to households with less years of education. Because people who are educated know the convenience, know the benefit of mobile money. So they will always go for it. Our results also show that people who are in the Southern region are less likely to use mobile money as compared to those who in the Northern region of Liberia. This can be explained by two factors. One is the issue of infrastructure. Secondly, issue of population. So let's look at issue of population. Mobile companies are business entities. So we would like to intervene somewhere that have very high population. And as you are aware, the northern region of Liberia is highly populated. So if I have a mobile company, I prefer to intervene in this area quickly because I will have more customers than come to somewhere that have very small population. That could be one of the reasons. Secondly, also the infrastructure. Probably in the southeastern region, there are limited access to network. They serve as a demerit for households to adopt mobile money services. There are limited access points there. No good network. So if I got mobile money services, how will I even be able to receive money when the network there is always fluctuating? Besides that, the access point to get my money, I cannot even find it. to the next slide. So this is the pool analysis. We try to look at the impact of mobile money on household food security using the 3 outcome variables. That is the months of adequate household food provision, the household dietary available score, and the food consumption score. So, for the pool analysis, our results indicate that the use of mobile money increases the months of adequate household food provision by 0.8%. So, if I use mobile money services, my months of adequate household food provision increase by this number of percent, 0.8%. Similarly, if I use mobile money also, my diet becomes diverse by what? 6%. If a household uses mobile money, it increases the food consumption score by what? 5%. So the table here illustrates that mobile money services have a significant impact on household food security. Yes. So we try to, this is the pool analysis, right? It don't go in depth to tell us what becomes of male-headed household and female-headed household. What are those individual impacts of mobile money services? So as you go in depth, you'll see those various subcategories or those sub-analysis. So go to the next slide. No, I think it's done. Go back. Okay. So what I just presented in table 4 was the pool analysis, the pool analysis. That is, it took everyone as a scene, both male-headed and female-headed household. And as we all are aware that both male-headed and female-headed household are not the same. They have different social and economic characteristics. So, for this table, we try to look at it. Chief John, it should be male-headed household, by the way. Thank you. For this analysis, we try to look at the impact of mobile money on food security status of a male-headed household. That is, if male-headed household adopt mobile money, how does it affect their food security level? So, this was this analysis that focused on male-headed household. So, our results show here that the use of mobile money increases the months of adequate household food provision by 1% for male-headed household. Similarly, it also showed that the use of mobile money also increases the HDDS by 4.5% level. And lastly, it showed that the use of mobile money by male-headed household also increases the food consumption score by 4.9% level. So in summary, it means that mobile money have a significant impact on male-headed household level of food security. So this is only for male-headed household. Let's see how mobile money can also improve the food security status of female-headed household. The next table. So the previous analysis focused on male-headed household. So we came here again another analysis looking at how mobile money can influence the food security status of female-headed household. So our results just show that mobile money increases the months of adequate household food provision by 0.6% for female-headed household. And also for the HDDS, it increases by 8%. And for the food consumption score is 5%. So if you've been following table 4 and table 5, you will see a difference there. So the impact of mobile money on the various food security outcome for the two gender groups differs. Yes. So for the most of adequate household food provision, please go back up. For the most of adequate household food provision, the use of mobile money have more effect for female-headed household on this indicator. Because you know what? It increased by 1% Go down. When you come here for female-headed household, is what? 0.06%. When you compare the effect of mobile money use on this real indicator, for the most of adequate household food provision is stronger for what? Male-headed household. When we come down again to the other two indicators, that is the HDDS and that the food consumption score, you will see that the use of mobile money on these two last indicators is more stronger for female-headed household. Can you go to table 4? So you see we got for the male, we got 4.5, 4.9, right? Then let's go to this table. You see, we got 8% and 5%. So you see the differences? So the use of mobile money can greatly affect the full consumption scope of women than that of their male counterpart. So we didn't just stop our analysis there also. We try to look at the heterogeneous effect of mobile money services on these two gender groups also. So go to the next table, please. So for the heterogeneous treatment effect, as I said previously, our focus is on gender. So we want to look at how gender affect the various outcome variables. That is the months of adequate household food provision, the household dietary affordable score, and what? The food consumption score. And these things are siblings, by the way, as Prophet Khan to always tell us. So it's that it should be all to follow each other. You speak the same language. So the results that you get from one end should also correspond as we proceed. So when you see here, being a male has stronger effect on the months of adequate household food provision. As you can see, I have here gender in red. Although I have other social economic variables that can affect the various outcome variable, but for this study, our focus is on gender. Gender is is our key variable of interest. So we see how it interact with other social economic variables. So I said being a male increases or has stronger effect on the months of adequate household food provision. And the result also show in this table that being a female, it have higher effect on the HDDS and the food consumption score. So, in other words, or in conclusion on this table, gender has a significant impact on both male-headed household and female-headed household. Because here we're looking at whether you are a male, female, how it affects these real indicators. So we say being a male mostly affects the months of adequate household food provision, and female mostly affect the HDDS and the food consumption score. So we'll go to the next slide, boss. Okay, our next slide look at only female-headed household. We're looking at the heterogeneous effect also. There is something like a gender intersectionality. We look at how gender and other variables affect the ATT. So, as you are aware, as my colleague rightfully said, there are gaps in the access and use of formal financial services. So, even among female-headed households, there are gaps among them. A female-headed household that have more years of education and the one that have less, they don't have equal access to financial services. Because why? The various internal social economic characteristics. So that the essence of this table. So our result here is trying to look at how these social economic variables affect the ATT or the average treatment effect on the treated. So the results here indicate that being married and from the northern region, it increased the more of adequate household food provision, and as I say, increase the 3 outcome variable. It have a significant impact on the 3 outcome variable than be a single person. So it means that People who are married, there is stronger effect on the level of food security compared to those who are single. So if you are married, your months of adequate household food provision is much better than those who are single. So you see how the social economic variables sometimes influence the, our welfare. So go to the next slide. So okay, you see for this particular table, our interest here is the marital status of the household. And let's stay with you. Okay, policy implications. So through my presentation or the discussion or the result, we all agree that mobile money can significantly improve the food security status of household, as illustrated or indicated in all the tables that are presented here. So for policy reason, we said that we should stream our access that can help improve mobile money welfare. And how this can be done? This can be done through both investment in soft and hardware infrastructure. Like in my previous discussion, I spoke of issue one, network connectivity. In some areas in Liberia, people want to use mobile money services, but there are poor infrastructure there in terms of network, in terms of access point. They are not there. So we should try and invest in these things. We can also try to intensify incentives that advocate for adopting and using mobile money services in fragile countries. So we try to incentivize the use of mobile money services. So recently, I think I've seen some supermarkets or some areas trying to say, oh, when you pay through mobile money services, you get the discount, right? So I try to incentivize the use of mobile money services. So when you pay through cash, you pay more. But when you pay through mobile money, you pay less. Also, from our analysis, correlates on factors that influence the use of mobile money services, you see that men mostly use bank compared to female that prefer using mobile money. So this call for us to try to incentivize or encourage women to open bank accounts. And this can be done through financial institutions that can help to provide education or help to build a capacity in terms of opening bank account or trying to create for more level of financial literacy. And it can also teach them how mobile money can also be linked to various bank accounts. We said government and the private sector should mobilize investment into other financial inclusion platforms. Besides mobile money, there are a lot of other digital financial inclusion platforms that are around. Like I said, issue of you have now TipMe, they have SendWave and others, right? So government should try to invest in these services to see which one is more cost effective and efficient for use facilitating in fragile and post-conflict countries. So research is a continual process. As you do research, you always see that I just did a little portion. So we said that for future research or future investigation, they can use a more multidimensional indicator, like poverty, to look at the impact of mobile money on poverty. And they can also try to use time series data, because for this analysis, we use cross-sectional data. Also, we said that they can also try to compare the impact of mobile money services on household welfare compared to the impact of TipMe or other services on household welfare to know which one is more effective. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We want to say thank you to our two presenters, Billy and Francis. So at this time, we want to proceed to do our group photo. And then after the group photo, we will immediately go for our coffee break. Where are we going for the group photo? Okay, so the group photo is outside. Thank you. So let's get going. We don't have enough time.